Hi, everybody. Welcome to week number one of stakeholder engagement. It's great to have you on board. I'm Chris, and I'm coming at you on a Sunday morning, so I'm not in a shirt and tie or anything like that. That'll start tomorrow. So, just wanted to go over a few pieces related to starting the course off. The first thing I'd like you to do is go through the course news and bulletins. I've put a number of files there, a file on tips on doing your best on the DQs. I'd really like you to review that. Some initial course information that sort of stretches out the course and tells you a little bit what'll happen all the way through, if you can review that as well. And what I do each week is I put down my own notes that I take regarding the course readings, and those are there. You'll find them in the course news and bulletins. I'll label it week one reading, and then put the notes that I took. I hope they're of hope or of use to you as you work through your own readings. One of the pieces you'll notice with the course text is that I read it on a Kindle, and it's not giving me the page numbers on the Kindle, so I just put the location when I put the citation in there. So week one, the grade that you'll receive is based on participation in the DQs, of course. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about was the two DQs for the week, a little bit of the themes of the week, and how you may approach those two DQs. So the first DQ, it says, I want you to think about how this week's readings outline how a strong, enduring school culture is developed and maintained when stakeholders have legitimate voice. How can a shared vision or enduring culture be created when different stakeholders sometimes have competing interests and want different things? So those stakeholder engagement often sounds great in theory. My experience in about 10 years of senior management in education is that it's much more difficult than it appears on the surface, because though it's great to engage, not everybody wants the same thing. So the articles this week are meant to exemplify that, whereas the course reading from chapter 3 this week, talks a lot about what's the note I took here? Only when stakeholders work in aggregate that school culture emerges and is perceived as a property of the school. Through the interactions of individual agents, the complex emergence occurs. So let's talk about that complex emergence and that idea that we can engage stakeholders, get good information, and then from there move the organization forward and have people engaged. So what I'm trying to get at with the first DQ is, how do we deal with some of those complexities? Meaning that different people are going to be coming from different angles with different agendas and different past experiences within the organization. One article this week talks particularly about the role of marginalized stakeholders, and they're called low power stakeholders, because the organization may not feel accountable to really meet their needs. And how do we get away from that and make sure that everybody has a legitimate voice in the organization? So I want you to think about that. What happens when different voices are saying different things as part of stakeholder engagement, and how can we deal with that in a way that moves the organization forward? So lean on the readings. I would lean especially on what's said in chapter 3 of the course text. In addition, I'd lean on the article, just flipping between screens here, as you can see, by Severa DeCole and Casalagno, who talk about those asymmetries that need to be adjusted when you're working with a variety of stakeholders, some of which may be considered low power because they've been marginalized. The second DQ this week talks about how collaborations allow stakeholders to have opportunity to scrutinize organizational practices, but also warn that limited attention has been devoted to the engagement of low power stakeholders. I just discussed that a bit. What is a specific strategy you could use to ensure that traditionally marginalized voices have an authentic opportunity to engage as stakeholders? So here's what we know from the readings. We know from Desai this week that sometimes it's easier actually not to engage. For example, Desai talks about the potential risks posed by engagement, and whether organizations might temper their search efforts based on these risks. So sometimes it's easier not to hear the difficult stuff. So DQ2 really speaks to what is a specific strategy or an opportunity for an organization that they can employ to make sure that traditionally marginalized voices have been heard, and not just heard, but authentically heard, meaning that I'm not just going to listen to you, we're also going to try to change the organization as a result of that. So think about that and try to talk about a specific strategy, one specific suggestion you would have. So in each case, just a reminder, in the DQs, try to balance two things. One is bringing your own personal experiences into it and your own thoughts, but also supporting them with citations from the course readings, and if you'd like, citations external to the course readings as well. So you'll see me on the DQs. Again, please review everything in the course news and bulletins. I look forward to working with you this week and weeks past that, weeks 2 through 7. And let me know if you have any questions just by putting it in the Moodle chat box if you like, or you can put it in the question sections of Moodle, or you can send me an email, whatever works for you. So I look forward to your thoughts on the DQs this week, the course readings, and working forward with you. Take care, folks.